This in 2014, March.
We're ready.
All right, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Peninsula Clean Energy Board meeting for May 28th, 2026.
Roll call.
Call to order. Yes, roll call, please.
Okay. When I call your jurisdiction, if you'll please state your name, San Mateo County. President. Oh, no, of course. That's my name. San Mateo County.
Randy.
Thank you. Atherton. Belmont. You. Brisbane. Colleen Baggett. Kathleen Jane. Colma. Daly City.
Rod Dawson.
East Palo Alto.
Mark Diamond.
New Foster City. Half Moon Bay.
Patrick Johnson.
Hillsborough.
Leslie Ragsdale.
Los Banos.
Michael Amabil.
Me. Menlo Park.
Betsy Nash.
Millbrae. Pacifica.
Ida Espinosa.
Oh, which actually reminds me, we will need to swear you in. We'll do that next. Portola Valley.
Craig Taylor.
Redwood City. San Bruno.
Marty Medina.
San Carlos.
John Dewey here.
San Mateo. South San Francisco. Woodside.
Songbird.
Wonderful, thank you so much. We have a quorum. And we need to swear in our new alternate for Pacifica, Myra Espinoza. Our legal counsel, Jennifer Stalzer, will preside over the swearing in.
I'll come to you. Hello. And raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I'll give it 2 lines at a time. We need me to repeat anything depending. I, Myra Espinosa, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I don't think I'm.
Here, you can read with me.
Read them together.
Glasses on.
You got this. Okay, you have your own copy.
I am Myra Espinosa. I solemnly swear that I will support and defend the United States of America. Is that what I'm saying?
The Constitution
The
of the
Constitution.
United States.
Of the United States of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith in allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose or evasion, and that I will well and firmly discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, welcome. Next item is public comment.
Items not on the agenda, and if anybody online would like to give public comment, if you'll please raise your hand in the Zoom platform. Hands raised online and no hands raised behind you.
Yes, I confirm that there are no hands raised behind me. All right, so action to set the agenda and to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
So moved from Director Corzo, second from Mr. Martinez, yes. Roll call vote.
San Mateo County.
Yes.
San Mateo County.
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Belmont.
Yes.
Brisbane.
Yes.
Burlingame. Colma.
Yes.
Daly City.
Yes.
East Palo Alto.
Yes.
Foster City. Half Moon Bay.
Yes.
Hillsborough.
Yes.
Los Banos.
Yes.
Menlo Park.
Yes.
Millbrae. Pacifica.
Yes.
Portola Valley.
Aye.
Redwood City.
Yes.
San Bruno.
Yes.
San Carlos.
Yes.
San Mateo. South San Francisco. Woodside.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
Fantastic. So now to the regular agenda, coming on up, wait. Are we okay?
Yeah,
Okay, I just thought you wanted
oh,
this and I was
you're
like,
talking to B.
okay, no problem. I don't have anything really to share with the on the chair report, so we're gonna go ahead and proceed with the CEO report.
Okay. I'm trying to pull this up. My laptop decided to act up. So you know what? I'm not gonna worry about the laptop. I'll just read it. Can I ask, let's see, who's got the clicker?
Right there.
Oh, it is right here behind. Nope,
Nope.
that's the thing. Here we go.
What is-
Right. Thank you. All right, thanks. Okay. Welcome, everyone. First of all, thank you all for coming. So I do want to just kick off by saying we completed a couple of weeks ago now, all 22 of our member agency briefings. We did that in like seriously record time, about 8 weeks. We got that done. And so I just want to say, first of all, hats off to Mark Hirschman, who really led the effort with support by Vieri Renteria and a number of our team members. I want to thank all of you for your welcome when we came to your council chambers. And the item that was up before you was the JPA amendment, and we received 99% approval for that to go through. So just want to say thanks. That is done. We're checking the box. On tonight's agenda, you will also see the JPA amendment. This board now needs to just ratify that so that we can go to the Secretary of State and keep the train moving. So thank you for that. In other really big news, SunZia, which you all may recall is our largest wind project, it's 220 megawatts coming out of New Mexico. It is a project that PCE and I believe it's 7 or 8 other CCAs and one other off-taker. There's a very limited number of off-takers, basically caused that project to be built. It is the largest wind project in North America. They built a transmission line that comes from New Mexico straight through into an interconnect in Southern California on time and under budget. It's just been a really great experience to be working with Pattern. That went live last week, so that is now serving our grid. Chair Medina, former Chair DeGolia, and myself will be going out in June for the ribbon cutting. So we will be well represented there. So that's just really great news. It all worked out. In smaller but equally important, the CPUC approved today a 30-day extension for our joint rate mailer. This is a statutory requirement that we must send to our customers every year. Usually it goes out in July. We ask for a 1-month delay to August so that we can co-brand it as Westlight. And it will also include our new rates, which will be brought to you in June. So we wanted to make sure that the customer wasn't receiving misinformation. So we delayed it by 30 days. So thanks Leslie and team for getting that done. Nellie and I are going to be tomorrow reviewing a draft board survey that then will go to the chair and vice chair for your review. Just want to give you a heads up to look for that in your inbox in the next couple of weeks. It's been, gosh, now 2 or 3 years since we last did a board survey. We have a number of new members, so we're just checking in, see how things are going, what you would like us to improve on, etc. So take a look for that soon. Upcoming ribbon cuttings. We have a ribbon cutting in Brisbane with Director Mackin for their pool project. As noted, we'll be 3 of us will be in New Mexico for SunZia, and then Roy Zhu will be representing our ribbon cutting for our tumbleweed project. That is our first CC Power project. It is 15, our piece of it is 15 megawatts of long duration, 8-hour storage. So that's a big deal that's finally coming to fruition. Ribbon cutting on the 18th. Thank you, Roy, for covering that. On a different topic, we say a lot around here that feedback is a gift. In fact, I think it is Nick's favorite line. I'm sure of it, as a matter of fact. And actually, it really is because, as you know, through the process of our Best Places to Work nomination, a third-party company did an employee survey for us. And these are just some of the high-level, thank you, Leilani, for putting this together. We have an overall satisfaction score of 91.5%. In the general world of things, 70% is considered excellent. So I have to say, like, this warms my heart. And we try really hard around here to keep everybody happy and keep the trains moving, and I think it's reflected. Here are just some key themes, some of which will not be a surprise, but worth restating. The themes that came through are that staff are super motivated to be here, and they're proud of our mission and our leadership and our impact. So it's just something to keep in mind as we constantly balance the affordability and economics of things, that at the end of the day, we are here to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on the grid and in our service territory. That just has to remain our guiding light. They feel that we have strong, trusted leadership. That includes the board of directors. So thank you for that. Leadership is viewed as transparent, empowering, empathetic, and supportive. So thanks to the team for all of that. Next, exceptional culture and talent. Staff consistently describes PCE as a collaborative, innovative, and people-centered place to work. And we every day strive for that, and I feel that way, and I believe it's reflected that the rest of the team, we mirror back what you put out, and we really practice what we preach around here. Work-life balance and wellness. Folks really like our hybrid office setup. That's not anything we're planning to change. We now have wellness benefits, and healthy boundaries are major strengths. I forgot to ask you what that means, healthy boundaries. Well, I guess what it means is that they get to have a weekend. And, you know, nobody's slacking anybody at 5 o'clock on Saturday unless it's really critical. So key opportunity areas for us, which we have discussed with executive committee, are career growth. And so one of the downsides to the upside of having very little staff turnover, like literally 98% staff retention, is that if you don't have turnover, there's not as much opportunity to move up. So we're looking at different ways to kind of deal with that issue that doesn't require us to have massive turnover, because that's also not something that we're looking for. Management coaching is something that we are now implementing, and then recognition for our support teams who often do the heavy lift behind the scenes. And tonight I'll just shout out to the IT team, who literally is behind the scenes back there, making sure that everything works on Granicus. And so shout out, Chris. And also just thanks to our board, and super proud then that we did receive the award this year for Best Places to Work. We are planning to leverage that award on LinkedIn and use it. We don't have any recruiting right now. We're not hiring. We're all full. Great. But why not leverage it for our new name and all the different things we're doing? So more to come on that. Speaking of, Westlight Energy is coming soon to a town near you. So tonight, we hope that you will vote to approve the JPA amendment. Tomorrow morning, we have a staff member who is going to Sacramento to drop off our paperwork to the Secretary of State. This then starts a clock to make sure that we are legal and ready to flip all our switches here in June and July. So it is a team effort. Next week, all of our various partners will be notified of the upcoming name change. So different vendors, CBOs, we have all segmented, and we have different communications going out to all of our different partners and vendors. June 26th, that's a Friday. That is the day that we flip the switch internally. So no more emails will be going out Friday afternoon. Our emails will come up. All of our internal platforms will then, we hope, all work on that Friday, so that on Monday, Westlight Energy website will go live on Monday. And then on that, July 1st is Wednesday, I believe, Thursday. That is our official customer launch. That gives us a few days to work out any bumps and tweaks and bugs that may occur. So it is literally a well orchestrated process led by Gwen and her team, but really every single hand on deck right now for all the different parts that everybody has to do. A lot of people have asked us about customer communications and what to expect. I believe that Gwen sent out talking points maybe yesterday. So you all are hopefully armed with, when people ask, here's what you say. Starting June 4th, we're going to begin the messaging of Westlight is coming, and that's through our newsletter, emails, limited direct mail. We're not doing a ton of postcards and stuff like that. A digital letter from city managers. Just it kind of helps give their stamp of approval and help people know it's all legit.
Good
It's social media. Official announcement will come out on, that's our blast on July 1. We have a long-term rebrand campaign that Gwen has described in the past, so I won't go into it, but it launches on July 15th. That's when you're gonna start to see ads on buses. We're gonna do this cool Caltrain wrap, which I'm super excited about. That's not gonna be till fall, but it starts July and then runs through the rest of the year. I mentioned earlier, the joint rate mailer will go out with our new brand on August 1st. And other fun, cool stuff will be happening throughout the next 6 months. So just to give you an idea, this is all coming now, starting next week. So it's exciting. And so far, like knock on wood, there really have not been any hiccups. And so that's our hope for the rest of the time. Now I'm going to turn it over. Mayor Amabile, did you have a question there? No? Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to Mike for our state and federal legislative update.
Thank you, Sean. Is this working?
Yep.
Testing. It's turning green and red at the same time.
We're not going to miss this.
It's fine. How's it now? Ah,
I put it toward your mouth.
it's a magic Nelly touch. So, thank you, Sean, and good evening, directors, colleagues, and members of the public. I'm here to give you a brief legislative policy update as I wrestle with this microphone, covering developments in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. Given the limited time available, I'll focus on the most material updates and changes since I submitted my memo to you as part of your board packet last week. So to begin with, let's turn to the state level. And first, the May revision came in stronger than expected, with revenues running roughly $17 billion ahead of projections from January. Despite the near-term improvement, however, the state continues to face an ongoing structural deficit driven by large ongoing spending commitments, economic uncertainty, and slowing long-term revenue growth. Second, the administration's proposed changes to the Cap and Invest program, formerly Cap and Trade, are projected to reduce, and it's not. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Cap and Invest program are projected to reduce state revenues by roughly $2 billion annually, which is adding additional complexity to budget negotiations in Sacramento and increasing focus on how climate programs are going to be funded moving forward. Third, I'm happy to report that 2 Cal CCA sponsored bills we've discussed previously here have successfully advanced out of the suspense process and have made it to the Senate. That's AB 1761 by Assemblymember Rogers, focused on PCIA data transparency. We're still with the first slide. Back one. Thank you. And SB 1138 by Senator Padilla, which would improve resource adequacy transactability under the slice of day framework. And fourth, our co-sponsored bill, AB 2111 by Assemblymember Diane Pappin, also advanced out of suspense and is on the Assembly for awaiting a vote. The bill is timely as policymakers continue focusing on reliability, load growth, and long-term infrastructure planning. Finally, stepping back for a moment, the broader policy conversation in Sacramento, just to give you a feel of what's going on in the building, continues to center around just a few dominant themes right now, and that's affordability, no surprise, reliability, accelerated load growth, AI and data centers, and transmission infrastructure planning. So these issues are increasingly shaping both the political environment and the types of bills that are making their way through the Capitol. And then, yes, please now to slide 2. Thank you. And at the federal level, uncertainty remains elevated as Congress and the federal agencies continue navigating energy, infrastructure, and trade policy issues heading into the 2026 midterm cycle. So first, despite ongoing negotiations around broader budget and reconciliation issues, Congress currently appears unlikely to roll back any clean energy tax credits. Second, federal attention on AI, data centers, and large electrical loads continues accelerating, both at FERC and in Congress, as policymakers increasingly grapple with how to accommodate rapid electricity demand growth without compromising reliability or shifting costs onto customers. Third, cybersecurity and grid resilience are continuing to emerge as major bipartisan priorities, particularly as concerns grow around physical and cyber threats to critical infrastructure. As a result, policymakers and regulators are expected to place increasing focus on grid hardening, system reliability, and resilience investments moving forward. And fourth, permitting reform discussions remain active at the federal level, especially around transmission and energy infrastructure deployment, as policymakers continue looking for ways to accelerate project development timelines and reduce bottlenecks. These efforts are increasingly being folded into broader negotiations around infrastructure, energy, and budget legislation, as Congress looks for ways to accelerate project development timelines and reduce bottlenecks. And with that, I'm concluding my presentation and I'm available to take questions if there are any.
Any questions for Mike?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, just have a couple more and then I promise I'll be done. A quick one, customer success story, we drop these in every once in a while just to, keep it light. This is Howard from Portola Valley who sent us an email. He received personalized support through our home upgrade program and our concierge, electrification concierge. Everyone I interacted with at PCE took real interest in my issues and concerns. I could not possibly be any happier with everything. That's cool. I don't know who Howard is, but thank you, Howard. All right, mark your calendars, please. So our fall summit that I've referenced a couple of times, that is now confirmed for September 30th. In San Bruno at the Skyline campus, 3:30 to 7:30. We will have an office warming party and a holiday party December 1st. There will also be celebration of 10 years. So both of these things will cross rebranding 10 years of accomplishment and a look forward for us. And a reminder that there won't be any public meetings in August. We've also canceled the Audit and Finance Committee coming up because there were no significant changes recommended from the draft budget. So that'll go directly now to Executive Committee. And that concludes my remarks. So we'll move on to Leilani.
Public
Oh.
comment.
Yep. You could go up there.
I was ready.
Any public comment online, please raise your hand and Zoom out. Seeing none and none in the room.
We have a question?
A quick question for Sean.
Yes.
So, with regard to the West Light is coming, you're sending it to all of our city managers or do you want it in our electronic newsletters?
Yes, I think Gwen and Mark are going to be working on that.
Okay.
And then Mark is working on a letter that will come from the city manager, that it'll be an electronic letter coming from the city manager, just giving residents a heads up.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
If you need our help on anything.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, thank you. Ready?
All right.
All right, thanks, everybody. Hello, my name is Leilani Johnson. I'm the Director of People and Culture for PCE, and I get the privilege of reporting on AB 2561. Now, if you've never heard of 2561, AB 2561, you are not alone, because let's go to the next slide, Brianna. AB 2561 was just introduced as a new California law last year. So we reported on this for the first time this time last year. And it's a new law that gives us the ability to provide more transparency, more visibility to our members of the board and the public on a number of things, including job vacancies, recruitment efforts, and our retention efforts. So let's look at our metrics for fiscal year 26. We'll go to the next slide. Sean referenced a couple of these already. We are ending the fiscal year, knock on wood, at the end of our next month of June with a fully staffed team with 68 headcount. So very excited to be fully staffed. How that changed in the last fiscal year, we added 6 new headcount over the course of those 12 months, with 7 roles being filled. Sean mentioned earlier how low our turnover rate is, and so that attributes to that 1 extra role being filled in addition to those 6 extra headcount. But you see there, our retention rate, 98.5%, with our turnover rate at that 1.5%. So we are very, very proud of those numbers. With that, she mentioned some challenges. Those are great numbers and we're really proud, but they do come with some challenges. Over there on the right side of my slide, it's retaining our great talent that we currently have as we look to the next 1 to 3 years of slower growth. We want to continue to help our team develop and meet their career goals. And as you can imagine, with less growth and low turnover, it becomes more challenging. Not to say we're not up for it, but it becomes more challenging. 82% of our staff see themselves continuing to work with us for the next 3 years. This is a drop from a year ago, and we attribute that likely to be caused by perceived lower advancement opportunity to that lower turnover and slower growth. But we have a number of things going for us. Our current staff is very highly engaged and satisfied. She mentioned that in that engagement slide. 92, I rounded up from a 91.5 up to 92%. And we offer great compensation benefits programs. From what I see in terms of comparison against our counterparts in other Cal CCAs, we are definitely market leading in a number of ways. And finally, our culture. We're so proud of our culture. It's something that I think every staff member would stand on. It's highly attractive to our great candidates. We're mission driven, highly diverse, and we offer the hybrid workplace of choice. Those are the stats that AB 2561 asks us to provide transparency and visibility to. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Yes.
I see that you have the average time to hire included, and I feel like that's really unique. It makes me curious about what the average time to hire is for like organizations of this size and like in this, maybe not this specialty, but.
Yes, so I can answer that not too specific at the energy industry, but as a whole for small organizations, it tends to be anywhere from 52 to 65 days on average. As you can imagine, when you've got fewer positions that you're filling, there's an opportunity to be a slightly pickier and higher standard with the candidates that we're sourcing and recruiting. So we are proud of the 38 days, considering the incredible talent of our team.
Yeah, awesome. I just mostly wanted to compliment that you even include that. It makes me want to, I just took a picture. I'm gonna take it back to the county and be like, what is our average time to hire?
I love it. That's great. That's great. Would you let me know? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
Excellent. Are there any other questions I can answer?
As this is a public hearing item, a formal public hearing, I think we can go ahead and, unless there are any other questions, go ahead and formally open up public hearing. So if any members of the public would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand in the Zoom app. And anyone in the room for public hearing, we are formally opening this at 7:01. Write it down. And I'm seeing no hands raised in the room. Feel like I should give it to 7:02.
That's gonna be a long minute.
I know.
We take a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
That's Dugan, or was that,
Yeah.
yes,
Director Dugan.
Second.
second, Carswell. Roll call vote.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much, everyone.
Sorry.
Oh.
Is there a roll call vote?
I don't think we need a motion.
Just close.
Oh, really?
So we can just
Okay.
close it, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all used to like opening the public hearings by
Yeah.
vote and then closing them by vote. But if we don't have to do that, it's fine.
You know what, if it saves time, sure.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
So we're just
That's the whole thing.
This is next one.
Okay. Go ahead now. Are you calling the next?
Oh, sorry, you've been doing it all night.
Sorry.
Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the Fourth Amendment to the PCE JPA, the Joint Powers Authority Agreement, and our legal counsel Jennifer Stalzer will be guiding us through these changes.
This is going to be the world's fastest presentation, hopefully, as we have seen these changes many, many times over. Did want to go ahead, as Sean mentioned, and thank each and every one of you for the individual jurisdictions approval of our change to paragraph 2.2. Greatly appreciate that and all the effort that went into that. The changes that were noticed over 30 days ago per our JPA requirements are very simple administrative changes. So that lovely Control F for Peninsula Clean Energy and replacing that with Westlight Energy. Our references as a joint powers authority, of course, remain throughout the document. There's no substantive changes. These are just housekeeping changes so that we can submit tomorrow in person to the Secretary of State. I'm happy to answer any questions. And there's really nothing else to explain because there's no legal import other than the name change in these edits. And we do need a motion on this to approve.
I move approval. Director DeGolia first, or there's a second from Director Taylor?
San Mateo County?
Yes.
I'm sorry, before we go ahead, we should probably take public comment.
Oh.
We are on our game tonight, people.
Who wants to comment on my red lines? Who wants to?
How many times have we done that?
Okay, proceed.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Belmont?
Yes.
Brisbane?
Yes.
Burlingame? Colma?
Yes.
Daly City?
Yes.
East Palo Alto?
Yes.
Foster City? Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Banos?
Yes.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae? Pacifica?
Yes.
Portola Valley?
Aye.
Redwood City?
Yes.
San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos?
Yes.
San Mateo? South San Francisco? Woodside?
Yes.
Thank you. Passes.
All right, congratulations. That's right. There you go. All right.
Nellie,
Nellie,
ready? You
I-
want to announce next?
All right, now practice. All right, our next item is an approval of an agreement for Reach Code Consulting with TRC Engineers with a term of June 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2029, and a total not to exceed amount of $2 million. As an action item, Philip Kopernick, our Associate Director of Energy Programs, will be presenting.
Great, thank you, Nellie. Good evening, directors. I'm Phil Koenig, the Associate Director on our Programs team, and I have an action for you tonight, which is approval of a new contract on our Reach Codes Technical Assistance Program. And do I have a clicker, or should I just?
Here you go.
There we go. There we go. So this contract is with TRC Engineers. Again, this is for providing Reach Codes technical assistance services in a term for about 3.5 years at a total dollar amount for $2 million. It will become more obvious later on in this presentation, but this is a collaboration with Silicon Valley Clean Energy. So our costs are shared across our two agencies for the purpose of this contract. Okay, I'm going to be starting with a quick background on what Reach Codes are for folks who are less familiar with what these are. Talk about some of the new opportunities that we're looking at in terms of the next era of our Reach Codes project, and then some more details on this new contract, which is available for your consideration and approval tonight. So a quick overview on our main focus areas of our programs team here. We're of course looking to advance decarbonization across buildings, transportation, and distributed energy resources. On the building side in particular, we have comprehensive programs that work with homeowners and other properties, providing rebates, incentives, and financing opportunities to help encourage folks to get rid of gas appliances. But today we're focusing on Reach Codes, which have been historically focused on new builds, and I'll be talking about kind of the evolution of that effort tonight. Very quick background. This is about building standards. So they're adopted every 3 years at the state level. Local cities can offer local amendments, which is going to be the focus for tonight. Those come in the form of REACH codes. So REACH codes are local ordinances that are adopted by local governments if they choose to, and that these exceed the state building code standards. They typically apply to things like new construction, alterations, additions, or equipment replacements. These are targeting kind of natural intervention opportunities to steer folks in a way towards clean energy in our mission to decarbonize. There are a few benefits that REACH codes and of course all electric buildings that they encourage provide. It's no surprise that indoor air pollution is made significantly worse by burning fossil fuels in your homes. So going all electric is considerably better for our health and the environment. Delivers cost savings opportunities because heat pumps are so efficient, especially if customers are rate optimized. There are opportunities to reduce our bills here. Single fuel buildings tend to lower construction costs for new builds. And of course, they help prep for regional and state rules. So the overall structure of our REACH Code Assistance Program is that we provide technical support for member agencies. These come in the form of model ordinances and staff reports, assistance with your staff in terms of adopting or adapting to your local cities, these codes for your unique cities, implementation assistance. These includes cost-effective studies, other tools that we've developed here. And then the other part of the program is that we provide technical assistance for contractors and developers who need some help figuring out how to electrify in their projects. As I mentioned before, this is a collaboration with SVCE in which we're sharing costs, and TRC has been our consultant in our first round. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a look back on the prior round of REACH codes before we look forward. So the first era, kind of 2019 to 2025, really focused on new construction REACH codes. And we've made really considerable progress in that time. I'll just go through these real quick, but we've been encouraging all electric buildings, made considerable progress in EV charging. These have saved tens of millions of dollars in avoided costs for things that we will need to electrify later on because we electrified them right up front. And that local leadership that's been pioneered by our local cities has spurred pretty considerable progress at the state level. In fact, this really has been one of our most impactful things that we've ever done. The state building code is not known for evolving quickly, but really it's known to have more kind of modest incremental change over time. But if you look back to not that far long ago from 2019, it really didn't have any provisions for heat pumps, for EV charging. It really didn't have much for multifamily. The codes didn't require any plugs really at that time. It was just for future EV charging. And then in just 2 short code cycles later, we've evolved from where heat pumps were not included to really now the baseline and the energy performance components of the state code and are mainstreamed. And then for EV charging for new multifamily, every single every single person who lives in multifamily now will have access to EV charging for new builds. That's a huge sea change from where we were just a few years ago. So again, every multifamily building across the state now has EV charging at every single residential unit. Yes, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Okay, so now let's shift gears and talk about the next era for REACH codes. Since we made so much progress for new builds, we are now turning our attention to existing buildings, which of course are more challenging. But as we advance towards deep decarbonization, these are the areas that will require some more attention here. How do we decarbonize our existing buildings? So to recap, the first era of our REACH codes, we're targeting new construction as the easiest intervention points here. We were encouraging heat pump adoption and EV readiness, building momentum, building contractor familiarity, influencing the state codes. And now we're talking about the next era of REACH codes, which are looking at existing buildings, some things that might be triggered by remodels, for example, and then also more complex systems like new multifamily commercial heat pump systems as opposed to in-unit systems. And the approach here is looking at remodels. Again, so folks are substantially remodeling their home. That would be a good opportunity for the various codes that I'll mention in a second. appliance replacement, circuit opportunities. And the goals here are equitable transition and to accelerate decarbonization across our community. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple of the retrofit model codes that have already been drafted and a few cities have already adopted. These are ones that have already been created. The first ones are two-way ACs for both single-family homes and commercial. Two-way AC is a time of installation retrofit code, meaning that when someone is adding an AC unit, when they were going to do that anyway, it would require that they do a heat pump. So instead of doing an AC, you do a two-way AC, which is really basically the same project, but it allows you to get heating and cooling at the same time, an easy opportunity to retire gas furnaces. Another component or another model reach code available is our electric readiness. So think of this as a time of renovation model code. So if you were redoing a kitchen, for instance, if folks are getting a permit to remodel their kitchen, it could require electric plugs to be installed behind the stove, making it easier so that you could more easily electrify later. That's an electric readiness one. And then FlexPath, which is another time of renovation type model code. So this would apply to covered projects like major additions or major alterations, and would have a menu of options that folks could choose to meet that. They could include energy efficiency measures, they could include air sealing, things like that, or the installation of a heat pump would be an example. And then which projects are covered would be up to each city, and we have recommendations in our model codes. And then 2AC also can apply for commercial properties as well. So those are the ones that were already developed. In this new version of the contract, we're certainly going to keep refining those, but we're also looking to develop some additional model codes that we will explore in this new contract that we would develop model codes for and cities could consider for adoption at their local jurisdictions. So one of them is a multifamily new construction code. So this would be again targeting those commercial heat pump systems. The in-unit ones are already covered by state code. So this would be another level of complexity that we are exploring. Another option would be existing single-family home gas water heater replacements that we're tentatively calling the clean water heater rule. So this would be in advance of possible upcoming rules. Cities may decide that they want to implement those rules earlier and then require that when water heaters are replaced, that they would be replaced with a heat pump water heater. And another one is building performance standards, which would be a whole new area for this project to explore. This is not new. Other cities have adopted building performance standards. These are flexible options that require improved efficiency or reduced emissions over time. A unique element that we would be adding here is that we would be a utility that's doing this with our local cities. So we offer data and can make administrative performance reporting a lot easier for customers who would otherwise have to compile all these reports because we already have the gas data. So that would be an interesting opportunity for us to explore. Okay, and finally, I'm going to talk about our new agreement with TRC Engineers, which is up for your consideration and approval tonight. So here is a contract overview, things that we are going to be continuing in our new contract, or we will continue to develop model reach codes, continue to do stakeholder engagement and outreach, develop tools, cost effectiveness studies, and technical assistance for commercial projects. These also include multifamily as well, and we actually included some enhancements for affordable multifamily that can take advantage of slightly more enhanced technical assistance. These are all things that we offer now in our technical assistance. We are proposing to continue in our new contract. And some other new elements that we are proposing to add here are an equity analysis with an enhanced team. We are talking about doing codes that affect existing buildings, and so we want to make sure that these codes don't produce unintended consequences. And so the team has an expanded partnership, and I'll get into that in a second, but we'll be reviewing our codes for equity impacts and advising on that, building performance, as I mentioned, and we also want to be able to support permit modernization to make things as easy as possible for cities and residents. Okay, my final slide here is this is the structure of our new team. So TRC is the prime. They will continue to be the main point of contact with PCE and SVCE. But this is an expanded team because we have expanded objectives here as we focus on existing buildings. I'm not going to go through all these, don't worry. But I want to point out a couple ones that I think are particularly of interest. Movement Legal is a legal focused 501c3 nonprofit that will be advising on our equity analysis, which I think is particularly interesting. And then Spur is also coming in as a project partner. They've done a lot of work on permitting and permit streamlining opportunities, and will be also advising our work in this area. Okay, and with that, I will just recap here that this is approval for a new contract, again, for about 3.5 years, a term exceeding, not to exceed 2 million, with TRC engineers. Okay, and how do you take questions?
I am so thrilled to read this, that we're tackling existing buildings. So I have a question and a suggestion. It mentions in the staff report about jurisdictions throughout the region considering codes. And I wonder, what are the jurisdictions that are considering the codes? But I also have a suggestion. When you talk about REACH codes and you have new building owners or new tenants moving in, and you mention REACH codes, there's a little pushback and groaning, oh, what am I going to have to spend more money? I think we could take the lead as PCE or Westlight, as we need to get used to, and offer a little good publicity for companies that are willing to embrace this. So it's not just punitive, but it has a PR bonus. And as individual cities, we could help promote those businesses. How could we do that? If PCE, Westlight, offered a certification. So we say for a small building, the standards might be different. For a large building, maybe say in our city, we say, okay, you're going to renovate things. Here's 3 or 4 renovations you could choose from. You do all 5, you're going to get top certification by PCE. And you're going to get a plaque or a decal to put on the doors to certify it. And the city's going to publicize that you went the extra mile to do this. So we give them, like, you're a partner in energy, you're a partner in the community. Put some kind of bonus into it for them as an encouragement, rather than it being, oh, here we go, here's the rules, we're going to spend money.
Great.
Just an idea.
Thank you for the
Let's make it
suggestion.
a plus.
Absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion.
So who are the jurisdictions throughout the region?
So 4 local cities in San Mateo County have already adopted existing building REACH codes: San Mateo, East Palo Alto, Portola Valley, and Menlo Park. So congrats on being first, you 4. We're engaged with a number of cities right now. I can't recall off the top of my head how recently we've engaged Brisbane staff, but I'm happy to check in with you on that. But we've already been engaging with several cities for the last few months. It's a little uneven, but if staff want to engage with us, we're available to start engaging right now on the 4 REACH codes that we've already adopted and in development of the new ones.
And how prevalent is it in the state of California,
Oh.
other areas to embrace renovation of existing buildings?
Great question. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I'll have to follow up with you on that. There have been a number of cities that have already adopted in SPCE territory. Beyond that, I don't have the number, but I'll
Okay,
get
I
back
was
to you on
just
that.
curious, how prevalent is that spread?
For existing building codes, this is new. Maybe, I'm joined by Farhad from TRC Online. I see you've come off video here. Do you have the number of total cities in California that have adopted retrofit codes?
It
would
is
be-
somewhere between 20 and 30.
There you
I would need to bring that up. Yes.
Thank you, Farhad.
Yes.
Thank you.
Director Newton has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And yeah, thank you for the overview. It's good to see so much energy on this. I'm obviously a fan of electrification. But I guess I kind of missed it. What is our role in this? We're developing model codes to suggest to the municipalities that that's our role.
Excellent question. You answered your own question, yes. So
Okay.
the project provides model codes, technical assistance, tools, staff reports, other things that cities would need for their consideration and adoption of these codes at their local level. There's certain reports that have to be filed with the Building Standards Commission. We walk staff through that process, provide assistance as best as we can to make it as easy as cities can. But these are up to cities to take our codes, use them or adapt them to your local needs, and then pursue formal adoption at your local city councils.
Got it. And is this a new effort of ours? Like,
Great question. So we have been Reach Codes is actually one of the very first projects we started at PCE in terms of engaging folks on new construction. And that was really pretty new territory back in the day. And we've been consistently working with cities over that time to adopt codes, to evolve them over time as the state code has evolved. And now that we've been so successful on the new building side, we're switching gears to existing buildings. And that is really the forefront of where these codes are going.
got it. Yeah, and in San Carlos, we really did embrace it on new construction, especially multifamily and commercial.
Yes.
And proud to report, our big life science buildings going in, most of those are all electric, which, was not necessarily a natural act for those guys. But you pointed out the challenges of existing. But I understand there was a major setback with that Berkeley ruling. Is there an update on that? Or because in San Carlos, we've kind of said, oh, wow, we got to really slow down, reassess. And I didn't hear you mention that. What is the legal status of Reach codes right now?
That's a great question. So we have adapted our Reach codes so that they're all compliant in that environment. We factor that in. It's important to emphasize here that these Reach codes don't require heat pumps. They give folks the option to still use gas. They encourage the use of heat pumps in new construction, and we'll be factoring kind of those parameters into our existing building codes. But all these codes have been developed in that post-Berkeley mindset.
Okay, and has it been tested? I mean, I know you're probably not making, we're hiring someone who is taking best practices, but if we're putting it out, are we confident that it'll survive a Berkeley type challenge?
Our Reach codes, they're in a different style than the ones that have been challenged previously with Berkeley. There was also, to expand upon your question a little bit more, recent legal action for different cities from the federal government. Again, our Reach codes are different than those in that they don't have prescriptive requirements like that. It retains options for developers. And then, I'll keep it at that for now, but yes, those have been factored in.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And then, I will just generally point out the obvious, which is going towards the existing as a politically sensitive area. We should think about our branding as far as measuring our enthusiasm for that, just pointing out there's hard realities to that, as enthusiastic as I'm sure we all are. Personal request, I continuously hear that electrification, I saw early on in your slides, there's an inherent assumption here that you will save money if you electrify. I continuously hear that is only true if you also add solar panels at the same time. And I have pushed on that personally when we've last looked at Reach codes. And I really want a piece of research that just definitively lays out that, here on the peninsula with the rate structures that exist and incentives and, all the moving parts, you will save money if you swap out your heater and water tank heater if you have not also bought solar panels. That would, I would love to see a piece of research that makes that very clear, because I've never seen it and I've asked for that from, a couple different dimensions.
I'm happy to share that. We've done our own research on whole home electrification homes that PC has been directly involved in and followed them up for a full year post-electrification and saw bill savings for those customers. And rate optimization is especially important in that environment too, because it helps maximize savings. But yes, we've observed homes that have all saved money after electrification. And I'm happy to share that report. And that was without solar, just regular homes that don't have solar in them.
Got it. Because I speaking for folks who, have to be brought up by their communities, that's very valuable information.
Of course.
To be able feel confident in, so I'd really appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. happy
But
to
the
do
rate
that.
optimization is that they essentially have to be on the right rate, correct?
Good.
Order to-
It helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
They
does
have to
help.
switch.
Because most of the people in our pilot study, when we followed them for a year, already saved money without switching rates, and there was one that would have saved money had they had switch rates. So educating folks on making sure they are on a beneficial electrification rate so that people can maximize the savings potential is an important outreach that we are doing, yes.
Got it. I assume that's part of our concierge,
Yes,
program?
it is actually, yes. We are following up with folks after they've electrified. If they have not switched their rates, we try to follow up and encourage them to do so. We are trying to explore more ways to make that process more seamless for them in the future, but right now it's an education and advising role, yes.
Terrific, thank you.
So we have a number of questions. I want to make sure our general counsel had a response to any of those questions. Then probably you go first, and then it'll be DeGolia, then Johnson, and then Nash.
Thank you. I wanted to address your concerns about the city of Berkeley. Even though these are sort of separate and apart from that decision, there's an entire section of this contract that talks about legal vetting. So we don't know yet kind of exactly what we're going to be getting back, but there'll be a very comprehensive legal vetting of all of the options that are given to us. And I think that you bring up a really good point that we don't really know what's down the road in terms of litigation around these codes.
Thank you.
Director DeGolia.
First question, if the 2 million requested authorization entirely on PCE, or is that shared between PCE and Silicon Valley Clean Energy?
It'll be shared with SVCE. Yes. We're leading on the contract and they're piggybacking on.
And in terms of the analysis of the cost savings,
Mhm.
that's after the heat pump is installed.
Yes, correct.
Because there's obviously a cost to replacing a furnace or a
Yes.
hot water heater that there's rebates have helped
Yes,
if you do one of them,
correct.
but they're not available if you do both space heating and hot water.
I'm
Or are
sorry,
they?
the question was, are rebates available for both water?
Really, the question is just to confirm the analysis is after operation, after the new equipment is installed. And that's not dealing with the cost of putting in the new equipment, which is not cheap.
Correct, yes. And for that, for our own analysis, we were looking at low income homes in which we paid for the entire project, and we're focused on the on-bill analysis afterwards, but yes, that is correct.
All right, Director Johnson.
So our city, we have an ordinance for the gassing, for changing over or getting rid of gas. And then, of course, the Berkeley thing came about. So then now we still have the ordinance, but we're not, we're letting it slide because we don't want to get sued and all that stuff. But excuse me, I went to the solar panels and I've got savings and it's great. So now my mind's like talking to neighbors, and I have one that was a planning commissioner, and he's now converted to the heat pump and the heater and all this. And I went to his house. Now I have a small ranch style house. He has a 2-story down the street, so he's got a little bit more room. And I went and looked at it, and he kind of walked me through it. He's an engineer, so he did it all himself, and I'm in the mechanical thing. So I was curious to see what it is, how it is, and I knew the house before, and I went there, and the water heater was, the heat pump was huge. It was big. And then you had to have, he had the unit in the outside, which is a transfer or some kind of unit that was transferring, and all these pipes are going all over the place. So my point was, that kind of killed the deal for me, because my garage is small, so I'd hate to put an incentive for people that you have to do this when they don't have the space. So I worry about that. That's what bothers me a little bit, because I would love to do it, but I just don't have the space. And I don't know where to put my heater if I were to do it. I've already invested in this 20 years ago, a new heater, and now like, where do I put it? So I worry about being driven somewhere when your house isn't big enough to do it. That's my only concern.
Creating thoughtful exceptions on these policies will be an important component of it. That's why we do have the expanded team to weigh in on exactly these types of scenarios and what are appropriate exceptions that we should be making. Of course, physical space constraints could be one, electrical capacity could be another, overall cost impacts or low income are all reasonable exceptions that are worth evaluating. And for your personal home, Director Johnson, we'd be happy to refer you to our concierge service. There are a number of unique solutions to solve unique problems that could possibly work.
No, I'm all game. I don't want to, I'm just saying, I'm already thinking in concepts, but where do I put it and how do I do it? That's where I'm at. And I want, and if I do that, I would like to encourage other people to do it. So I could say,
Right.
I pulled this off.
Yes, absolutely.
Director Nash.
So a couple comments. One is, with the heat pumps, some people do have an increase in the cost because they're now using air conditioning, which they never had before. And so that does create a benefit, but also can add some cost.
That's a great point.
You can get rebates on both HVAC and water heater for the same household. And in Menlo Park, we have lots of exclusions and one of them is for space, if you just can't make it work, and also for cost impacts. And so far it's working well.
One more question, Director Radfield.
Yes, thank you so much. It's fascinating and so important. I had two things. One, with the rate optimization, I'm glad that you guys focus on that. And it, unfortunately, we have to do that through PG&E.
Yes.
And it's not great. They're confusing when I've done it a couple times, and then once you do it, you have like 6 months so you can switch it again anyway. So the more we can help people through that would be great. And then it's been the whole topic of the water heaters with the Bay Area air quality or whatever their the no NOx rules. This has been in the press a lot. So I think as we go forward, any kind of FAQs that are just super simple. Hey, I heard it's noisy. Hey, I heard it takes up half your garage, etc. I think would be really helpful to have a nice, simple FAQ.
Thank you for those comments. Yes, absolutely. And I'll just add on, FAQ for contractors too, is an important focus that we're going to be working on this summer as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Director Johnson, do you have another question?
Nope, I'm done.
Right here?
I think it also be stressed that, not every town is equal as far as the reach codes go. Everybody's a little bit different and their needs are different. And it must be emphasized, it's kind of an a la carte thing. You don't have to adopt all of it at once. And our town has gone through talking about it as well. And, there's always pushback, especially with the older houses and upgrades with those. But I think it has to be emphasized, it's not a take it all or leave it. It needs to be emphasized that it is an a la carte thing, that you don't have to adopt it all at once. You don't have to adopt all the reach codes at once. And myself, I'm very reluctant to go all in with it, because of the constraints of the individual, especially on the remodel residential. New construction, a little bit different, but I think we want to tiptoe into this, and take a little at a time.
Thank you.
No more questions. Public comment? Oh, look, there you go.
Yes, we do have one member of the public, Brian Schmidt, and if anybody else from the public would like to give a comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom application. Brian, you should be able to unmute now.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Brian Schmidt for Menlo Spark. And I just want to say, first of all, sounds like a great program. I'm really excited to see what is going to be proposed over the next year plus. I also wanted to mention on the equity issue that it might be helpful to refer to the work that is ongoing in the city of Menlo Park on renter protections and incorporating environmental issues in those renter protections. Our organization, Menlo Spark, has been working with the city on developing renter protections that are specifically concerning environmental issues, like trying to make sure that renovations for electrification purposes are not considered grounds for eviction, and working on making sure that funding, it does not result in rent increases or other problems for renters. So again, I think it's great, and Menlo Spark will be happy to cooperate with this project moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, this is an action item. Director Nash,
I'll make the motion.
fantastic.
Second.
Second Mackin, roll call vote.
San Mateo County? Yes. San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Belmont?
Yes.
Brisbane?
Yes.
Burlingame? Colma?
Yes.
Daly City?
Yes.
East Palo Alto?
Yes.
Foster City? Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Banos?
Yes.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae? Pacifica?
Yes.
Portola Valley?
Aye.
Redwood City?
Yes.
San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos?
Yes.
San Mateo? South San Francisco? Woodside?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Fantastic. All right, this one, I'll take this one, clerk, because this is,
Oh.
a great one. The approval of the Dave Pine Community Energy Award.
Good evening, directors. I'm pleased to bring this proposal to you to create a Dave Pine Community Energy Award. This was an idea that was suggested by members of this board when Dave Pine retired from this board and from his public service. And so I'm pleased today to propose how we might create this award and the process for nominees and how to select an awardee. We are proposing an annual recognition in honor of former supervisor and first board chair, Dave Pine. And many of you probably know former supervisor Dave Pine. For folks who may not, he really did an amazing job at forming PCE, bringing all of the relevant stakeholders together in a really lovely way in a formation committee, getting them on board. It was political masterwork to the point where when the vote came to each city to join PCE, every city council voted unanimously to join PCE. It's the only policy we know of that had a completely unanimous vote across every member jurisdiction. And then he served as our first board chair as well. So the proposal is to create an award one award per year that would go to an organization or partnership of organizations or potentially a community member that we would like to emphasize the organization because most good things happen due to collective effort. The award would be public recognition and inclusion of the honoree's name on a plaque in the new PCE board room in the new PCE new Westlight office in San Mateo. There would not be a monetary element of the award. It would be fame and glory and having your name on the plaque. The proposed award criteria would be work that advances PCE's mission, demonstration of potential to achieve significant greenhouse gas reductions, advancement of community equity goals, and projects and initiatives that, of course, conducted within our service area. And we're especially interested in where the intersection is of the reducing greenhouse gas emissions and advancement of community equity goals. That can be some really ripe area to uplift some cool organizations and award them for that effort. Proposed process is the staff and board members would submit nominations. We'll create a nomination form, very brief. Then there would be a staff-led committee that would review the nominees and develop a recommendation. That committee would be comprised of board members and key staff, and we invite former supervisor Pine to participate. The board would vote on a recommendation for final approval, and then the nominee would be honored at an appropriate occasion. And in this coming year, we'd be thinking about awarding that at the Westlight 10-year celebration in September. So that's actually our entire proposal, and I would put that out for your consideration.
All right. Looking around for some questions. Director Taylor?
Are you assuming this happens once a year, once a quarter?
Once a year.
Okay. And so do you have you thought what time of year this is likely to happen?
We would begin the nomination process now for this year with the goal of awarding the award at an event in September. But in terms of how it happened in future years, I think that's flexible.
Okay, but your goal is to pick a target time during the year, gather all the recommendations and then make a decision. And then can you do more than one? Honor more than one organization?
We're creating it tonight. The proposal is, we do one, but it's at the pleasure of the board.
They can come together as a collection if they've worked in collaboration on a project, but it's not intended to award more than one organization for separate issues,
Okay, so basically one organization a year.
ideally.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Director Mueller.
We asked Supervisor Pine for his input on this.
Yes.
Yeah, he signed off.
He has.
On what
He's
it
very
looks like.
happy with it.
Good.
Great question.
Any other questions? Online public comment?
And now from the public who would like to give comment on this item, so please raise your hand in the Zoom app. Seeing none.
Okey doke.
Call for a motion.
Call for a motion? Move approval. Golia or Nash? Roll call vote.
And confirming Nash was the second.
Yes, sorry.
San Mateo County,
Yes.
San Mateo County,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yeah.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame, Colma,
Yes.
Daly City,
Yes.
East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City, Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes, happy to see it. Thank you.
Los Banos,
Yes.
Menlo Park,
Yes.
Millbrae, Pacifica,
Here. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
thank you, Portola Valley,
Aye.
Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo, South San Francisco, Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, motion
All right.
passes.
Fantastic.
And I have a follow-up question. Would you like to take volunteers for nomination committee tonight?
Yeah, that's something, actually, sorry, it's not in here, it was in this, the staff report. If there are volunteers to serve on the ad hoc committee to evaluate the applications and help identify the winner, will you raise your hand? We would like up to 5.
Up to 5. We got Corzo, Martinez Ceballos, Nash.
Anybody else? Medina,
One more?
Could I nominate Donna, who's not here, but I
don't think she,
No.
to be honest with you, I talked to her and she's good to go with.
Okay.
Without
Can I
being-
nominate Dave?
Dave will be invited to participate no matter what.
We have
So I think we
4.
have 4 from, that's enough.
That's great.
Oh, Director Mackin. Sure. Yeah.
We don't need a strong arm.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you have that list, Nellie? Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for remembering that person.
All right, our last item for tonight.
I would like to say.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set this up for you, Roy. This is, we had time on tonight's agenda and thought that this topic was worth revisiting. Some of you have heard some of this before. I'm gonna just pretend I'm looking over at Director DeGolia because he's talked about this a lot. But it's an important topic and it's really part of our ongoing effort and series of topical study sessions. You might recall we had one on DAC GT, the disadvantaged communities. We had one on affordability earlier this year. Now we're focusing on the power content label because that is coming up to be released, and really understanding the clean energy procurement process that we use, and really importantly, the claims that we can then make as a result of a state required compliance reporting. It's and as Roy will talk through it, nothing about this is perfect, but it is our way of just trying to help you all explain when we talk about having a portfolio that's 100% clean, what does that really mean? And this comes up periodically in the community, and so it's just good for you all to understand the backstory and how it actually works. So turn it over to Professor Roy, our Senior Director of Power Resources, and then Roy, you can decide whether you want to take questions throughout or wait till the end.
I like to be more interactive, so it's
Great.
more engaging.
Thank you, Roy.
Okay, good evening, directors. Roy Shusi, Director of Power Resources. As Sean stated, going to do a study session tonight on the power content label and power procurement. And I understand it's almost 8 o'clock, so it's probably late to do any study for any topic, let alone how to do power procurement. I'll try to make it as interesting as possible, but no promises. So the title of the study session is Beyond the Power Content Label, Understanding Clean Energy Procurement. And I want to give a kudos to Shane Olivia, who's in the audience today, our Associate Manager for Compliance, who came up with the title and contributed a lot to this slide deck. So thank you, Shana. All right, let's get started. So these are the learning objectives for tonight, the 5 Ds. Thanks to AI for coming up with these creative terms. I didn't. But the first one is to have a review on what I call PC Energy 101 and these concepts. And Sean added a refresher plus because we're going to go one level deeper into some of these concepts. And then we're going to spend some time understanding the power content label. Want to differentiate annual versus hourly emission accounting, which is the theme of today's presentation. And then we're going to talk about additionality. It's sort of a detour from the main topic, but it's an important concept that we all need to understand. And then along the way, we will discover more interesting things about how clean energy procurement actually works. And we'll try to clear up some misconceptions and clarify some messaging that we've been using. So that's the objective for tonight. Let's start with the power content label, and this is a preview for you for the 2025 power content label that you have not received in the mail yet, but all our customers will later this year. And let's spend some time on this one and start from the very top. Emissions. The first row is greenhouse gas emissions intensity. And as you can see across all our product contents, it's 0. Then we look at our renewable and carbon-free breakouts for each of the product content. As you can see in Eco Plus, we have 59% renewable, 41% large hydro. Eco 100 is 50% solar, 50% wind, all renewable. Green Transit, that's 100% solar, and Green Access, 100% solar. The total power content, this is the sum of the 4 retail products plus losses of 4.4%. So it's not just a simple summation of the percentage of the first 4 columns. The denominator is a little larger. That's why the percentage is a little different. We do have the 2% from nuclear. And that, if you recall, the board approved the acceptance of the nuclear attribute, carbon-free attribute from Diablo Canyon in 2024. So we are using it to cover those 4.4% loss. And that's why it does not show up in any of the retail products. I'll stop here to answer any questions about this.
I know that at Low Plus and 100, but I don't recognize Green
Yes.
Transit and Green.
Green Transit is Caltrain.
Okay.
Yeah, and Green Access are DAC GT.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do not have anything in the dark orange, no natural gas, no coal, no unspecified power. And we don't even have any unbundled RECs, which is the last row in this table. And I'll explain what unbundled RECs in the future slide. Yes.
Can you say one more time what green access is?
It's DAC GT.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Before you move on.
Okay.
To just level set even a layer up. The power content label is something that is required of all load serving entities, so all utilities, by the California Energy Commission. So this is a regulatory compliance issue that all of us have to do. We don't have any say over the structure of this power content label. It's kind of a bummer because it's not perfect, which Roy will describe in a minute, but we just have to fill it in according to our products. So just want to set that stage because unfortunately it's not up for a change or debate at the moment.
It's on my next slide.
Perfect. Sorry, buddy.
But this, as you can see, our power content label is probably one of the top cleanest power content label you can find out of all the those entities. But the point of today's discussion is that it's not perfect. It has flaws. Okay, so before we get into that, let's understand what is a power content label, and Sean sort of already talked about it. And power content label is required to be provided to our customers on an annual basis to show the emission contents and our power resource mix. There are two very similar terms that sometimes are used interchangeably, and I want to differentiate them. There's the power source disclosure and the power content label. Well, the power content label is what you just saw. And the power source disclosure are all the inputs, the formula, the calculation that gets submitted to the California Energy Commission. Once approved, spits out the PCL. So if you think of the power source disclosure as the content of a book, the PCL is the cover or the executive summary. And that's what the customer received. So then the next bullet point is also very important. Any marketing claims related to GHG emissions has to be consistent with the PCL. And we've been very consistent to say that we were 100% clean on an annual basis. And we've been 100% clean on an annual basis since 2021. And that is based on the PCL information that you just saw. And then Sean touched on the last point, which is if any significant changes to the reporting requirements, it probably will require legislative action. But the CEC, the Energy Commission, is responsible for modifying the reporting methodology, calculation rules, and such. Okay. So why is it not perfect? Because it's not an hourly accounting tool. It doesn't account for hourly emissions. It might look very clean on a power content label on an annual basis, but there are hours of the year that we do have emissions. And that's a fact. And we're not trying to hide it. It's just that the reporting tool doesn't reflect that. And that is really the theme that will be throughout this discussion. And I'll come back to the power content label, the debate between hourly accounting and annual accounting. Okay. So, go ahead.
Maybe I'm premature, but doesn't geothermal have some emissions?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yes, but in the CEC, and actually it got changed very recently in 2024. Is that correct? Starting in 2024, the Energy Commission, who has the responsibility of changing methodology and calculation rules, have ruled that the de minimis emission amount of geothermal does not need to be reported on a power content label. Yes, but very good catch. Yeah. So yes.
So the power content label, is that what we are delivering to customers?
So let's we might get to that.
Versus what we're buying?
It's what we buy to serve our customers. I think you'll get clear once I go through the slide deck. When I'll show the power content label again, and if by that time it's not clear, we can talk about it more. So in order for us to understand how the hourly and the annual accounting works, we have to know a couple more things. Where does PCE get its energy to serve its customers? What are the roles and functions of our long-term renewable contracts? And how are short-term contracts similar and different? And what is the concept of offsetting on an annual basis, which is the power content label? So let's start with, maybe this is a background for some of the board members, the different products that PCE procures. There's the energy, there is the renewable energy credits, RECs. There's RA, resource adequacy, and there's MTR, which is midterm reliability order. And due to the timing today, we're not going to cover RA, MTR. They're sort of on another line of products that we purchased. We're going to focus today because it's really about the power content label, and that's really energy and RECs. We're going to talk about energy and RECs only. Otherwise, we'll be here until midnight. So what is a REC? A renewable energy credit is 1 megawatt hour of energy generated by an eligible renewable resource and delivered to the grid. And think of rec is like a quality of the energy. And the quality is that it's renewable. And there are different quality level of renewable, and the ones that PCE procures only is the top quality ones called bucket one or PCC one rec. And there's PCC two, PCC three, and PCC three is the unbundled rec that's shown on the power constant label on the last line. And we don't have any of that. There's also this thing called the carbon-free attribute. And it very similar to the rec, it's 1 megawatt hour of energy generated by a carbon-free resource and delivered to the grid. So the difference between the two is renewable are energy coming from solar, wind, geothermal, small hydro, biogas, and biomass. In the last row, we do not have any biogas and biomass in our portfolio. And carbon-free are large hydro and nuclear. You might ask about energy storage. Energy storage does not generate any power, shifts energy. It doesn't produce any RECs or carbon-free attributes, but it's an important tool for the grid. Okay, so this is really a background slide, and we want to start with the energy product, and we'll get to the RECs. So in order to understand energy and how energy works, we have to first understand that we operate in the California ISO, and that is a wholesale energy market. It's a marketplace. Think of the market as a pool. All generation injects their generation into this pool, right? Whether that's a fossil fuel plant or it's solar or wind, they all put their energy into the water, into this pool of water. And for all the load serving entities, we draw from this pool. Okay. So depending on the hour of the year at which we draw the energy from the grid, the composition of that power is different. If you're drawing like at 12 p.m. during spring, which is now, probably 100% of your energy is solar, and you're 100% renewable. But if you're trying to draw from the grid, let's say in September during a heat wave at 6 p.m., you're probably getting quite a bit from fossil fuel. And we have no control over that. It's just what the composition. We're only 2% of the grid. So that's how it works. There is a misconception that all our long-term contracts, renewable contracts, are directly serving our load. And that is not true. They're not directly serving our load. They're injected into the grid. Okay. And we then buy everything from the grid. Okay. So that's how it works in the marketplace. As a load serving entity operates in the California ISO, as so does all the other load serving entities in the ISO. No different. This is a very important concept. I want to stop here and see if any questions. Okay. Good. Oh, go ahead.
Can you explain one more time what PCE is all energy consumption from the?
So okay, well, I'll explain on the next slide. So here's an example, right? So for this particular hour, let's say for simplicity, PCE's load is 100 megawatt hour. We need 100 megawatt hour of power. And the market price is $100 per megawatt hour. So we draw that energy from the grid for that hour. And we pay the ISO $10,000. That's just 100 times 100. That's how we get our energy for that hour. Okay. So the problem here is because it's a market and we have no control of the market price, if the market price goes to $1,000, how much will we pay for that hour? That's a question. I'm trying to be engaging here. 100,000, that's correct. So if we, so depending on the market price, and it could be.
That'd be bad for me.
Yes, we won't make Nick happy if that happens. So that's why we need risk mitigation tools. Otherwise, we'll be fully exposed to the market. Did that answer your question about where we get the power for that hour? We just buy it from the market. Depending on the market price, it's volume times price. Okay.
And your question probably might be then why do we even enter into long-term contracts.
Which is the next slide.
Which I'm not gonna mess it up for you anymore, Roy. It's coming.
So,
He'll explain.
so this is the role or roles, functions of a long-term renewable contract, one of which is to mitigate this market risk, right? So this is the same example. Now we're at $1,000 instead of 100. So we're gonna be paying $100,000 for that power that hour, and Nick won't be happy. So what do we do? So this is the same math. We sign a long-term renewable contract, and that resource generates 100 megawatt hour the same hour, okay? And let's just say, for simplicity, that the market price at the point where it injects the power into the pool is the same as where we draw the load from. And in reality, that's not true. There is a basis difference and there's congestion. But let's, for the purpose of this math, let's assume it's the same. Then we will get paid by the ISO $100,000, which offsets each other. Then we pay our long-term contract $40, say, for that per megawatt hour of that renewable energy that they injected into the grid. So the settlement looks like this. We pay $4,000, then we pay $100,000 to the market. We get paid by the market $100,000, and the two offsets each other, and we call that a hedge. So it end up that we only pay $4,000. We're no longer exposed by the market. So that's one function of a long-term renewable contract, which is fixing the price and fixing our exposure. That's where I left off during the last study session. What I didn't get to is the second role of a long-term renewable contract. And there are more, but there's another one that I didn't get to. Anybody want to guess what another product that the renewable resource gives us? In addition to the market hedging. No, that's what we're being. It's the REX, which is, yeah, it's the attribute. It's the cleanness of this energy. And that's in the form of PCC1 REC. And we get how many? 100 of them. Because if you recall, the definition of a REC is 1 megawatt hour of renewable energy. So we get 100 RECs. Any questions on this? Yes.
So my question is maybe a slide ago, but so we're putting into the grid, we're taking off of the grid. We actually write a check to Kaiso?
Nick does the wire transfer every week.
Every Monday to Kaiso, okay.
It's a lot of money.
So we
also get paid, yeah.
We can't say that, we can't identify, oh, I took that gram of energy.
No, they don't trace the electrons.
So we are putting into the grid clean energy.
Yes.
But what we're taking out
Is
is
a mix.
whatever we're taking out.
We're changing the ratio of what is in the pool by our purchases.
Okay.
Can you go back to the last slide?
Yeah.
So what Leslie asked, I think, is exactly the right question. No, the slide that had the river. So we're buying enough clean energy that is equal to the load that we have to deliver. And we're putting that into the grid when it's available and it's clean, right? It's the renewables. But we're pulling off the grid power whenever our customers need it. And some of that is in times during the winter or in times during the night when there's no renewable energy available on the grid. So we're pulling off what's basically fossil fuel generated energy, but we don't have to disclose that in the power content label because we bought enough of the renewable or otherwise clean power that equals at least the amount of load that our customers are demanding. And that's the provision that the PUC allows you to ignore the fact that you're pulling fossil fuel energy off the grid because there's not sufficient clean energy available at certain times when you have demand from your customer.
It's the CEC, Energy Commission, not the Utility Commission.
And the lack of that clarification has caused a bunch of problems for some CCA.
That's correct, yes.
But it is the way the market works, so we
That's
are
how it
not
works.
unique.
Yeah, we're not unique, yes.
PG&E paying us for all of our customers that went to PG&E where we engaged in contracts, so they should be paying us for PCIA.
We are buying
Roger?
these, well, we're buying these resources to serve our own customers. We're not serving PG&E's customers. So in that sense, they're not owning us. The PCI claim is that they had procured resources and contracts and locked in these long-term contracts. And because of departing load to the CCAs, they're now on the hook for these costs and they need to be made whole.
We pay stranded costs.
Yeah.
That's what that
Stranding
is.
costs, exactly right.
That's just an accounting.
All right, so next slide is an important one. So I just explained how the bundled long-term contract work, right? We get energy, we get REC, we also get RA and TR value, which I'm not going to talk about today. So one bundled medium or long-term PPA, they come with energy hedge and PCC1 REC. That's one way of contracting. Or we can buy my energy hedge product separately, my REC separately. Or in the short-term market, we can also buy carbon-free attribute separately. So the second way structure of procuring is we buy two separate short-term transactions that one is for energy hedge, one is for the clean attributes. Now, the PCC1 REC from a long-term contract bundled or a PCC1 REC from a short-term contract is no different. It's a certification of the quality of the energy that's generated. What is the difference? This is where we're going to take a detour to the concept of additionality. The logic is that when we sign a long-term contract with a developing project, the revenue contract, which is the PPA that we sign, helps the developer to get financing and get that project built. In that sense, we're adding a new clean resource onto the grid. We're growing the pie. But in a short-term deal, we're buying the PCC1 REC or carbon-free from an existing resource. It's already there. So we're not growing the pie. So the critics is that there is no incremental emission reduction on the grid by procuring a short-term PCC1 REC from an existing facility. So that is really the concept of additionality. Okay, so let me stop here and see if there's any question on what it is. Okay. Then you will ask, then why are we buying it? There are many reasons, because let's look at the alternatives. If we don't buy short-term RECs or carbon-free from large hydro that's been existing for decades, then we'll be forced to buy more solar, which is not ideal from a portfolio design standpoint. We already have too much, and that's the only resource available on the grid right now. Or we don't do anything. We just leave this gap, and what will happen then? We will not be able to meet our power content requirement for each of the product. We will not be 100% clean on the power constantly. And from a power resource portfolio design standpoint, there are a lot more considerations than just this one additionality consideration. There's a bunch of things that we consider when we decide between long-term contracting or short-term contract. There are the internal goals, right? Meeting product content, going to 100% renewable by 2030, right? There are regulatory requirements that makes it by more 65% requirement for long-term contracts. And there's MTR that supports more in favor of long-term contracts. There's argument for flexibility, meaning that we don't want to be fully resourced 100% resource long-term to cover our load because you lose all flexibility. If the market goes down, you're locked in the higher price. You can't take advantage of lower market price. And there's resource availability, like I mentioned. There's only solar available. Do you want to just keep on buying solar? And to make Nick happy, I've included PCIA. Believe it or not, PCIA is a consideration on whether to decide we want to do more long-term, more short-term. And then ultimately, there's affordability, right? All of these things come down to risk and cost, right? And have to balance, this additionality, incremental grid benefit, emission benefit, and, how do we keep the rates low? So that's a detour I want to do. And I'm going to go back to talk about hourly and annual, but I will stop here to see if there's any other additional comments, John, you might want to say on this or other questions. No? Yes, please.
I think it's important to know, and you may talk about this later, but for PCE in our existing portfolio, we use those quote bucket one recs. Those are the highest quality because they go with, they're bundled with the megawatt hour. They go with it. But we use those really as a way to fill gaps to achieve our goals. So we are heavily resourced with long-term contracts. Additionality has been central. It remains central in our strategic plan. It's called out in our next strategic plan. And this is where it gets tricky because, there are lots of folks in the sort of public sphere who don't understand the way the market works and the fact that recs exist. They are a market construct. They are not whitewashing. They're not bad, right? It's just these are a unit. It's like an accounting. It's a measurement of energy. We're responsible for the energy that we buy that generates that rec. But I do want to say for us, we use it as a gap. We use it to fill the gap in order to achieve our goals and stay affordable. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about the 90%.
Yes.
Okay. And that's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Yes.
Do we keep track of how many hours we think that we're pulling non-clean energy from the grid?
So we buy it, yes. So every megawatt of energy we draw from the grid, it's settled through an CalISO invoice and there's settlement data. Actually, in the example here, it's an hourly settlement. Actually, there's a real-time market that settles every 5 minutes. So for every 5 minutes, there's drawing energy from the grid. Buying and selling happens throughout. And you don't track the quality of the energy. It's the tracking really happens when Shana does the power source disclosure and power content label filing with the California Energy Commission. It's based on the megawatt hour from a renewable contract.
So let me explain that.
Yes.
So take large hydro. It's the best example because it's the clean, the CF over there, but it has the biggest impact on the lack of hourly availability. That large hydro is generated at some hour and put into the grid. But they don't tell us what the hour is that it's generated and put into the grid. So during those times when we're pulling energy off the grid, where we know from our direct resources, our long-term contracts, there's no renewable energy on the grid that we're pulling off, we don't actually know what the quality of the power is that we're pulling off between midnight and 8 a.m. It could be large hydro, because certainly large hydro is being produced at that time. But that large hydro it doesn't have the hourly stamp on it as to when it was produced. It's a monthly stamp, is that right?
So we'll get into, we are going the hourly direction, and I'll talk about that.
So we've been advocating that with
It's
Josh Becker.
Yeah, so it is coming up, but then
because the issue is, if we don't know how many hours that we're pulling off that's non-clean, and other CSAs start, at some point, you're gonna get the hours, you're going to see a circumstance where everyone's trying to pull non-clean off the grid. Or everyone's trying to pull off the grid. And there's only gonna be so much non-clean available.
Yes.
right? So you. if you-
ISO is the
right.
traffic cop of that.
So you have to figure out a way, there's gonna be some breaking point where we have to move away from that system.
So the ISO knows exactly how much renewable energy is on a grid at any given time. So if you go to the ISO website, there's today's outlook, it's real-time tracking the supply and the demand. So when everybody wants energy, then there's a resource stack, dispatchable based on the market price they bid into the market. And they get dispatched one by one by one by one. And when the demand is so high, then these peakers will get triggered, right? And will get turned on. And that's probably the ones that emits the most emit greenhouse gas. So when the demand is high, there's not enough renewable, then we'll have a grid mix that's composed of primarily fossil fuel. Now, battery storage has been helping when they discharge during the evening peak, but that's not completely displacing all the fossil fuel. The grid still needs fossil fuel to maintain reliability.
We don't get to ask ISO for a particular kind of power.
The ISO doesn't give power. The ISO is a marketplace.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
just get we just say we want N megawatts.
Yes.
We get N megawatts. We don't get to say we want N.
Yes.
Clean megawatts.
Yes.
You get whatever ISO, whatever deal they put together.
Yes.
And you have, all you can do is contribute on the input side, but you have no control on the output side.
That's correct. That's correct.
Exactly right.
Yes. Okay, moving on. The concept of offsetting on an annual basis. So we talked about that we get RECs from our long-term, medium bundled procurement. And we also spent a lot of time talking about short-term procurement that we get RECs and carbon-free. We also get large hydro allocation from PG&E. And every 3 years, PG&E decide they want to allocate their hydro to us, and it's free. It has impact on PCIA, but it is free from the cost of energy side. And we can elect every year whether or not to take it, and we have elected to take it because otherwise we'd be leaving money on the table. Just like the nuclear decision that the board made 2 years ago, that we've decided to take nuclear allocation that comes with the carbon-free attributes. So all of these things together has to be greater than or equal to our PC's annual load, which is approximately 3.6 million megawatt hour, which is the concept that Rick talked about earlier. So this is the concept of offsetting on an annual basis with our attributes. And that's how the power content label works.
Which is what Craig just said, that we know what we were putting in, we just don't know all of what we're pulling out.
Yeah, so that's what this is. And this is when we come back to the power content label and point out that it's an annual accounting system. What we just described on the previous slide is what happens on that last column, total power content. Now, it does include losses, so the math is not exactly the same, but what it shows is 60% from renewable, 30% from large hydro, and 2% from nuclear to serve our customers and loss. Yes.
So this is a little off, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. If it's too far off, just keep going where you were going.
Okay.
We were looking at the whole Western States Alliance, wasn't that the name of it?
Western Pathways.
Right, and one of the concerns was we might be buying very dirty fossil fuel power. The same thing could be happening here. So why was that such a concern?
Why was
The Western Regional Market.
Oh, so the concept of a wider Western market is so that we can optimize the resource across a bigger footprint. There might be cleaner resources that we can share together, or maybe there's a reliability event. The other balancing authority can give us power, but maybe those power are not that clean. So there's a reliability consideration there across a bigger footprint, and there's also a cleaning, like sharing the renewable. We have a lot of excess solar that we can export to the other balancing authorities when they need it. So there is this optimization that's going on across.
They have
the
a lot of
board.
hydro.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
So it's a bigger pool.
bigger, way bigger.
But the concern was that Pacific Corp, which has a number of coal plants,
Right.
could could and probably would be exporting whatever energy they produce, including coal generated energy that didn't exist. I actually think LADWP has a very small, well, they have a coal resource in Nevada or Arizona, but that's the only coal resource that was in Cal ISO territory. And with the regionalization, there was concern that there would be additional coal resources from the Pacific Northwest, specifically Pacific Corp, that would be imported into that pool that would then become available. And but what Roy said is that when you balance that out against the clean power, the excess clean power that California in particular generates during the day, where we were told we had to shut off our power called curtailment. There's a lot of curtailment going on in the middle of the day. All of a sudden,
And that's
you could
expensive.
start to export that out of the state, and that would be very valuable.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
So
Okay,
I kind of follow on
Yeah.
this, like, do we have any control over the power that ISO buys? I get we can put in our share, but do we, is there any control over the other people, who, I mean, go to the Western States.
State
example.
mandates.
I mean, where they were gonna potentially put dirty power into this larger
Yeah.
grid. In Cal ISO, is there any control over what kind of energy goes into it?
so that goes to legislative policy and regulations, right? So we do have an RPS program. We have, it's required for all the retail providers to offer 60% of their retail sales from renewable by 2030. We have then SB 100 that goes 100% clean by 2045. So it comes from the top, from the state level and that kind of regulates all the retail provider to buy more clean resources so that they can inject that into the ISO grid.
But if we magically had, I don't know, 1,000 megawatts
Of,
of clean power
Uh-huh.
that we wanted to put on the grid,
we could,
but would we get curtailed if,
depending on when that clean energy is generated during the day and the demand on the grid.
right, and that's the question I'm trying to get at is when we have curtailment, do we have any way to say, we want to make sure that everything that's in the stack is all clean? And we get that you can't put more than what's being pulled out, but at least we only allow clean stuff to go in. You curtail all the dirty power, everything else, and when you're in that mode.
So
I don't think it works that way. does it?
it's a market driven, right? So it's so when we say we participate this resource in the market, that means we submit a bid into the market for the market to dispatch us. Depending on what your resource cost is, you might get picked up if your cost is very low, right? And then it goes up. So the lowest, cheapest cost resources are usually dispatched first, and solar usually gets dispatched because they have no fuel cost and the resource is pretty cheap. And hydro the same way, there's no additional, unlike fossil fuel, you have to build in the O&M, you have to build fuel costs. So it's really economic driven from an ISO standpoint based on the bid that you put into the grid for your resource. And that's how they determine the stack.
So as long as there's cheap, dirty energy.
Renewables will always go first, because there's no.
Yes, usually hydro is really cheap.
Yeah, but but only because of their price.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
yes, marketplace, so it is price driven. Yeah. Okay, so Sean talked about this. We are still on track to meet our 100% renewable goal by 2030, and that does include about 10% based on our current projection of short-term purchases of PCC1 rec. But what that will change, how that will change our power content label is you won't see any large hydro in 2030 on our power content label. It will still show a small percentage of nuclear because the board elected to take that whole nuclear through 2030, and beyond that, it's still subject to debate on whether or not Diablo Canyon will be extended. So it might or might not appear here on the power content label beyond 2030, like starting 2031. All right, moving on. So can we go to hourly? And the answer is yes, we are going to hourly. The power source disclosure that I explained in the beginning of the presentation is going hourly accounting beginning in 2027. And PCE had a huge role in supporting SB 1158. So the power source disclosure, the input, output, and large hydro, which hour they generate, will eventually be reported on our hourly basis in 1 year, 2 years. But the power content label will remain to be an annual disclosure, so the customer won't see it. The power source disclosure is submitted to the board for approval. The 2025 version will come to you in July for approval. So, Shannon, I think the board will see the hourly in 2028 for 2027. So we are going in that direction. Oh, sorry. Too quick. So this shouldn't be foreign to some of the board members. This is PCE's hourly renewable matching effort that's been ongoing for 5-6 years, right? So the concept of hourly versus annual, or there's something beyond the annual accounting on the PCL, is not new to PCE. If there's any low server entities in California who knows this, it's probably us, right? We've done 2 white papers on 24/7 matching. We've done multiple board presentations on the 24/7. So this is not new. So for maybe the newer board members, I'll explain what this graph is, right? So on the y-axis, it's 24 hours of the day, and on the x-axis, that's 365 days of the year. And that matrix creates 8760 cells. That's every single hour of the year. And the cells that's green, it's zero emission. And the cell that gets darker into the red means more and more emission. This graph represents a theoretical 90% hourly matching. Now, we use renewable, and there's a difference between renewable and clean that I'm not getting into. But this is 100% renewable, 90% hourly matching on renewable. So you can see in the middle of the graph, which is the middle of the day, during the spring and summertime, we have a lot of solar. Those hours comes with zero emissions, right? And the hours in the winter, overnight hours, they tend to have emissions. So once we go to, and this is also theoretical. Once we get into operation, we're probably not going to dispatch the resources the way that we want it, because the ISO has to say on how to dispatch our resources depending on our bids. But this is how we will look like when we start reporting hourly emissions, right? Every hour will be there either some emissions or no emissions depending on the outer year. But this concept is not new, right? We're trying to tackle this starting in 2020. Okay, any questions on this? Yes.
Is this what we're pulling off the grid?
Is this this is not the ISO grid. This is the PCE's resource mix. Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm not sure if there is a similar graph on the ISO website. But the ISO grid mix, assuming it's very similar to our composition, then it will look like this. But the grid has other resources, right? It has imports, it has probably a little bit of coal, it has different other mixes.
But Roy, is everybody gonna have to generate one of these, all the generators?
Not exactly this graph, but every hour they have to report what their emission level is starting in 2028 for 2027's portfolio.
Right, but if you had that, Cal ISO could generate their.
Oh, yeah, the CEC
have-
could probably do it, yeah.
They have all the data.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a reality check. Why can't we go to hourly, right? 100% hourly clean. I mean, we've been talking about 100% clean on an annual basis. Then why can we go to hourly, 100% clean? The reality is that the grid still relies on fossil fuel for certain hours of the year to support demand, right? We just don't have enough for every single hour to be hit with to be served by 100% clean power. And there is a lack of resource diversity in the current queue, interconnection queue, meaning future projects. We only have solar and we only have storage for probably for the next 5 to 10 years to be built out. So the lack of resource diversity, that we don't have geothermal, we don't have wind, which is complementary to the solar profile, to enable a more cost-effective hourly matching in the near term. But if we want to pursue or force the issue aggressively, do hourly matching is going to be costly and risky. And I talked about this in the prior presentation on why that's not a good idea. So the focus and the goal here is to reduce grid-wide emissions, right? I mean, we're only 2%. Cleaning PCE's 24/7 hourly matching is not going to change the game on the grid, right? So our resources are being dispatched in the grid to displace fossil fuel in the most critical hours, the evening peak hours during summer. And also we have to balance affordability. So that is the reality. Here's my takeaway. I have 2 more slides. Okay. This is the summary. PCE purchases all its energy from the grid, like any other low summer entities in the ISO. Okay. We contract with only renewable and clean resource, then offer their energy to the grid. Our long-term contracts have enabled development of over 1 gigawatt hour in clean capacity. So that's the beauty of additionality, right? We talked about. And this is long, but this is just saying that we acquire enough PCC1 RECs and carbon-free attributes to cover our load on an annual basis, and that's what makes our power content label 100% clean. But we recognize and acknowledge that it's not a perfect method. It has its flaws. And we've been very clear in our messaging. 100% clean annually, that's based on power content label. We've been 100% clean annually since 2021. Our strategic plan calls for 100% renewable annually, and we're on track to do that by 2030. And we're trying to maximize 24/7 hourly when feasible and cost effective. And these are in our strategic plan. So we never muddle these concepts from a messaging standpoint. And I think we've done a pretty good job in differentiating all these different metrics. And lastly, maybe we put aside how do we do accounting. What's more important is that PCE and other CCAs, we've been the accelerators of clean energy transition. And thanks to our friends at CalCCA, who put this graph together, you can see our CCA's resource mix versus all other low thermal entities. For the last 5 years, well, we ended 2024, we don't have 2025 data yet. Nothing has been approved. You can see that 80% of CCA's retail sales were served by clean resources in 2024. Right? We're 100%, but CCA's in aggregate is 80%, which is higher than all the other types of low thermal entities in California. And there is no CCA that signs specified energy contracts with any particular resources that's fossil fuel, right? So the fossil fuel ones are indicated in black. So you can see very clearly that we don't have any. So we've played a huge role in cleaning the grid, is the story here. Question?
Just what are ESP and POU?
POUs are public owned utilities. The largest one is LADWP. They're municipal utilities that own generation and also transmission. And the ESPs are direct access providers.
Thank you.
Yes.
So where CAISO has a state formula, if I read this correctly, of the mix they have to have on hand.
But ISO doesn't. ISO just clear the market.
Right.
They have no regulatory responsibility to provide renewable.
Right, but CAISO.
Yeah, so that's the marketplace. But the state requires us as low thermal entities to provide certain percentage of clean resources to serve our customer.
So thinking about and reading, as I'm sure everybody here has been hearing about the increased load from data centers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you anticipate in the near future, and we've been forewarned about increased electrical prices in the coming year, that the amount of clean energy, renewable energy is going to be can I
tighter.
say this, pushed aside and replaced with more dirty resources simply because of that demand?
So, yeah, yes, short answer is yes. So based on all the articles, I mean, that's been flowing around, the hyperscalers, the data centers, their focus is race to power, right? It's speed to power. So they do contract with gas plants, nuclear plants, large hydro. So I think they, as long as they can get the power as soon as they can, they are not too focused on the quality of the power.
And
But,
second
yeah.
question of that, there have been data center companies, entities saying, well, we are going to do solar and batteries and we're gonna be self-sufficient. Is that really possible?
To some extent, depending on the size of the data center and how they're interconnected to the local grid, whether or not backup power are supported by this utility, or they are really on an island by themselves, in which case they probably do need some kind of a baseload backup power. And solar and battery is not going to be able to serve them 24/7, most likely. But every state and every utility might structure the data center problem differently and provide different solutions for the data centers. So it's really not one size for all, but they are encouraged to bring their own generation to support their data centers.
Well, because I was reading today, if you heard news about Virginia with the number of data centers there, and that they're using diesel generators. And they're supposed to be, oh, just back up. But there are so many hours now they can't get power. Several times a week, they're using the equivalent of semi-sized diesel generators, polluting the air like crazy.
Yeah, they have a different priority structure where probably getting the power to serve the data center is the top one. I mean, we have also a priority issue, right? We've talked about the priority between 100% clean 24/7 versus affordability. So depending on where you're coming from, the priority set is different, and depending on how the data center chooses their priority, some might still prefer to say that we're still trying to, at the same time of making sure our data center is served by reliable power, we want to go 100% clean. Some might choose to say, hey, we have to sacrifice one over the other.
Is there
Also, sorry, isn't it also true though, that their provider, an ESP likely, unless they're generating their own, they're still subject to state law and state RPS and all of the other.
Yeah,
requirements?
ESP, yes, but data centers are,
They not gonna be working through ESPs?
no, they don't have to.
They're gonna bring their own.
They can decide to serve their own load.
Right.
And become a little hub
But in which
utility
case though, they're
themselves.
still subject to state law.
Depending on the state, I mean, I don't want to
In
over
California.
generalize.
In the CAISO market.
Depending on how they structure, I mean, if
That's
it's, yeah.
Okay.
Are they required going online to the grid? If they say, oh, we're self-sufficient, but we might have time, we might need to pull power from the grid.
Yeah.
Do they have to go through any regulatory screening before being allowed to do that? To anticipate what kind of load?
They have to go to the local utility, for example, PG&E, and interconnect, right? And then there will be a study to be done and see if they can reliably serve, PG&E can serve this customer. I mean, CCAs could be getting that request too, that can we reliably serve the customer? And if we can, then we have to go out and procure more resources for them, and there could be different contracting structures so we can arrange. Or they can decide to, the interconnection queue is so long, it takes 4 years to build any new facilities. They think they can do this sort of behind the meter but not behind the meter solar rooftop, but behind the meter gigawatt hours of power just in that co-located hub of data center and their own generation. So it really depends on the path they choose to go, and whether or not the timing aligns with their timing to bring the data center
And we also
online.
need, we're watching the federal landscape because the feds have definitely prioritized AI and data centers. And FERC has, we feel, a jurisdictional issue underway that would usurp states' rights by basically accelerating them in the queue. And so that they wouldn't have to sort of get in line in the same way. So I don't know where that's going, but it's, last I heard from Mike, it wasn't trending super well in our favor. But that's part of what we were doing in Washington, to try and maintain states' rights and not have federal jurisdiction over that.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the percentages roughly across the four alcohol
Ooh.
brackets? Just
I-
roughly, I'm not looking for exact.
I don't think I have the data.
Do you know
I think
what-
the CalCC conference, Sean, I think Beth mentioned how much percent load do we serve now? The
Is
CCA?
they, you mean all CCAs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around 30%.
Okay.
Yeah, POU is probably a smaller share, and mostly is primarily IOU, and ESB is even smaller.
Okay, and then the bulk of it's the IOU.
Focus the IOUs, yeah.
But just real quick, is it an accurate narrative to say that, you know, the CCAs and bringing all the clean load on is why the independent operators have cleaned up their act? Is that a fair narrative?
I think we as CCAs have brought online more clean capacity to the grid over the past 5-10 years than other low service types of lower service entities.
Were we the reason?
Well, were they able to decommission a lot of their dirty assets because we brought all this clean supply on? Is how I've roughly understood this. And, you know, I recently pulled up PG&E's position, was kind of surprised. I'm like, it's not that, you know, it's not horrible. There's no coal and.
But
They have a lot of new.
when CCA started in 2010,
Yeah.
when MCE went online, and I know this because I was on the board, PG&E was at 17% RPS
Okay.
with not much more than a little hand slap for not meeting the RPS. Then CCAs came online, MCE launched with 25%. That was a big deal back then, right? And so as the industry has grown and we've had more and more commitments to higher levels of clean and renewable power, it absolutely has had, we feel, the effect of pushing the market to a cleaner grid. And that includes PG&E's load and all the rest of it. But then also there, it's true that as we have picked up more of the load, it also has had the effect of reducing their obligation to procure. So we're just picking up more load is what's happening, but we're pushing it in a greener direction.
No, thank you. So it's an accurate narrative. That's what was it understood.
But they're also able to be clean because you can see how they have a huge amount of.
Right.
That's right.
One planet.
They have all of it.
All right, this is my last slide, so we did not talk about.
You guys have been very patient.
We not talk about resource adequacy. So resource adequacy is a reliability product. It's also a compliance instrument. It's very different from energy. It's done on a planning basis. So the grid reliability requires a diverse mix of resources to be available in order to keep the lights on. Right, and PCE, like all other LCs, we must procure sufficient resource adequacy to meet CPUC's compliance obligations and to contribute its share of grid reliability. So, and I have 20 more slides on RA. All right, so if you're interested, we could do another study session just on RA because it does take the same amount of time to explain what RA is. That's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Roy.
Great.
Any other questions for Roy?
Oh.
Is there any public comment?
Not public comment necessarily, but our COO has her hand raised.
Oh, Shalini.
She's joining the seat.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not a member of the public, but I just wanted to respond to Colleen's question. So there's two things going on the policy side when it comes to large load and data centers in California. The first is the Rule 30 proceeding that is PG&E's rule on how it interconnects large loads. That's something our regulatory team has been involved with for about a year now. And separately, there's also AB 2383 by Zabur, and it sets strict state-controlled rules for large energy users. And it's good news, but it also applies to CCAs and IOUs, and it really advantages IOUs right now. So that's something we're working through with Cal CCA. But I do want to just sort of, let the board know that there are regulators and legislators looking at this issue closely, and we're engaging with them.
Thanks, Shalini. Okay,
All right.
thank you, Roy.
That ends our discussion.
Awesome.
Thank you very, very much. Next item.
We'll just do a formal call for public comment in case there's anyone.
Okay.
Seeing none. Our next item is board member reports.
Looking around the room. Fully engaged board, so we got one right here.
I just want to say I very much enjoyed the Cal CCA conference up in Sacramento. I loved getting to see board members outside of the boardroom and staff outside of the boardroom, and learned a lot. Got to see Cal Penn. He's so smart. Harold and Kumar go to White Castle guy, but he's super smart. Anyway, so I recommend when it comes around again, anyone that wants to go should go.
Any other reports?
I just have an announcement. We're having our annual Filipino flag raising in Daly City on June 16th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It'll be at Daly City Hall, and there'll be food if y'all want to have Filipino food afterwards.
Anyone else? All right, so we're gonna take a 5-minute recess as we go into closed session. Give everybody a chance to get a snack or the restroom, whatever you need to do.
We're adjourned.
We're not adjourned, we have to come back.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna go into recess.
Hopefully this is short.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming,
Open session.
we're returning to open session. There was no reported action taken during closed session.
And we'll go ahead and re-agendize items 13 and 14 in another closed session for our next meeting in June. And
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.